This episode is powered by Act Now Education. Go to www.actnoweducation.com for free comprehensive educational resources and opportunities for active duty, veterans, military spouses, and children.
A lot of people go through struggles, and if we're just willing to be open and honest about those struggles, if somebody has the courage to speak about them, you find that a lot of people relate to you, and you can share that compassion and you can build trust that way.
Warriors fall in. It's time for formation. Today I'm joined with a military spouse who's decided to start an organization last year, reached out to me through Instagram, and from there we began to network, and just wanted to follow up with her today and find out where she's at as far as where her organization is right now. When I first met her, she had really, really great intentions on where to go with it, and I definitely saw a need for it. So today I'm going to be joined with Michelle Lang, who is the founder of Veteran Help Point. Michelle, thank you for joining us on the Morning Formation podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's very exciting.
It's an absolute honor. And, you know, I see here on your Instagram account, Veteran Help Point, you describe it as curating an online community of vetted local resources for U.S. veterans and their families. Now, can you tell us what made you decide to create this organization?
Yeah, so it stems from basically my family's own heartache. Whenever my husband transitioned out of the military in 2019, he was doing everything that he needed to be doing as far as going through SFL TAP, having plan A, plan B, plan C. And whenever we got to the outside world, to the civilian world, it kind of really, really fell apart for us. We were met with some unexpected challenges with him and his mental health, and I didn't know how to meet those needs. I didn't know who to turn to help him get his needs met, and the organizations that we reached out to were the ones that denied him care. So that kind of sent him down into a deeper spiral, and it wasn't until reaching out to his veteran community that we figured out the path forward. And I just thought it really should not be this difficult to find local help, especially where we were. We were right outside Philadelphia. And it really was frustrating to me in an age where you can Google everything, but algorithms dominate the search engines, right? So you're not, things that you're Googling or searching for on the web, they might not be coming up. So I really wanted to build not just a database of resources, but a community of resources, people that are on the same page as me, that want to help veterans and their families, because it's a family affair. If one person is suffering, the whole family usually suffers. So we're really looking for those organizations that are there to support the family.
Yeah, what you're talking about specifically are some things that I went through as well when I got out of the military. But back when I got out in 2007, there was less of an internet presence today with resources and help. Back then, I've repeated it a number of times, but MySpace was the sexiest thing on social media at the time. And now we've got like 5 or 6 different platforms out there that people are using for social media. And, as a veteran community, including the families as well, compared to the entire population of the United States, we're a very, very small percentage of the entire population. So it's hard to find people that actually understand the pain points, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, I could definitely understand, when you approached me last year through Instagram, I completely identified with what you're talking about as far as identifying local resources. Now, from where you started, which was when did you officially start Veteran Help Point?
November 17th, 2021 is our official birth date, according to the IRS.
And so and I know before that you did a lot of research and a lot of trial and errors and trying to figure things out. But from that time to now, can you talk to us about some of the growth patterns that you've had and some of the things that you've learned?
Yeah, I really drank from the fire hose, honestly. So after I talked to you and you got me on the path to LinkedIn, that's where I met a lot of people that have um, really, I mean, jumped in and helped me in a way that I've never been helped before in my life, and that supported me, that were very, I mean, just the amount of advice, good, bad, friendly, all of it. Like it has just been amazing. So the networking that I've done and support that I've received has really been overwhelming. That being said, I've spent a lot of my time networking, learning from people who have done similar business ideas in the veteran space. There's a lot to learn whenever you're starting something like this. Um, the other really big thing that I've had to tackle has been, I would say, public opinion of a database like this. And
Mm,
I've had to learn how to adjust course quickly. Um, whenever gosh, I just don't know how to explain it. I've been very surprised about the public opinion, both by active duty members
mhm.
and civilians, because there's a mindset with the civilian population that's like, oh, you served our country, that's great. There's all these resources available to you. Why do we want to donate to you, or why do we need to help you? I love what you're doing, but don't really understand why you're doing it, because they don't understand really the the barrier to getting
Right.
that help. So that has been a really big message that I've had to figure out, and I'm still continuing to figure out how I can, reach that audience a little bit more and kind of understand, break down those walls. The other really fun message that I have to reevaluate is active duty uh, members not thinking they need help.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I get it. I get it. No one ever wants to envision themselves in a place where they need help. Um, but you need to be prepared, and you need to start preparing a lot earlier than what you think you need to whenever you're transitioning. Because a lot of people at transition fairs, they'll see my organization and think, um, oh, I don't ever plan on being homeless. Like I don't ever. Well, no, I'm not saying that. But do you need a
Yeah.
realtor that understands, works with a well-respected VA lender? Do you need, housing situations like that? Can I help you point to job assistance organizations that are not going to take your money? Like there's a lot that goes into it, and the lack of preparedness is
Right.
is an
No,
interesting message.
I know exactly what you're saying because you know why? I was one of those active duty guys, and I um, basically just blew everybody off and said, I got this. Don't worry about it." And it's so funny because now that I've already kind of forged that path, where I am right now in my own career, and I'm out of the military, been there, done that before. Whenever I try to reach back and try to warn active duty military members, hey, there's a waterfall, like it's coming and you can hear it and you think you understand what you're going to be dealing with, but you don't understand. People can really get in their own way. And so you describing what you're talking about as far as active duty folks not really understanding, I completely know what you're talking about, because when I'm talking about my podcast, when I'm talking about the purpose of my podcast with career transition, for example, they're like, well, I don't need that because I've got X, Y, and Z. What you don't have is you don't have networking. You don't have the competitiveness to understand that it's not just you that's going to be looking to get a job out there, but you're going to be competing against literally people that are graduating from very good universities. And that was what I experienced when I got out. The day that I interviewed with some of the big companies that I interviewed with, it wasn't just me. It was me competing with the guy that went to Notre Dame and was in a certain fraternity, and he was on the road team and he did all these great things. And then here I am talking to a recruiter who doesn't understand what an Army captain does, but he knows everything about Notre Dame because he went to Notre Dame too. So that, we really get in our own way sometimes. So I understand what you're saying as far as like folks not like what would Veteran Help Point do for me? I also experienced the same thing as well. And many people don't seem to really care about a lot of the things that we're talking about until it's in their own backyard, right?
For sure.
So
yeah.
So how have you gone about kind of showing people like, look, this is a necessity. We have help for you. If you need help, I mean, do you just walk away and then leave your number and say, hey, come back to us when you need us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been trying to show up to a lot of transition fairs. And each fair I go to, I learn how to, better fine tune my message. And it's interesting because, I didn't serve. I'm a military spouse. So sometimes you get the people, and it's predominantly guys. The number of women in service is just lower. So they kind of just like, what do you really know about that? And I don't have that type of like firsthand knowledge, but I have done a lot of observing and I've done a lot of talking to people, and mental health is very interesting to me. It's something I'm very passionate about. So kind of getting, what their mindset is in, like, what are they thinking about? How do I need to adjust my message based on what they're thinking right now? And kind of strategic partnership. I'm working on aligning myself with some people that can fill some gaps for me that I'm not able to do that in my organization. So it can be more of a symbiotic relationship and therefore help more transitioning members. But what I kind of find is that you gotta have to put a bug in people's ear, hope they remember you, and then have a strong social media presence that way. Because I get a lot of referrals through social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, because people reach out whenever they need help, and it's not a proactive thing. It's I need help now. What do I do?
Right. Yeah, it's not, hey, I'm prepared, and it's like, I need help like yesterday, right? And what's amazing to me, Michelle, is what I've learned is the whole 22 a day, the suicide rate that we've been talking about for the last few years. People are more apt to go out there and do push-ups or do squats or do some ridiculous thing. And I don't care, fight me on it. I'll say it. I don't care. It's ridiculous. Like, at the end of the day, they're more apt to do that and support that than they are to support you and what you're doing, which is an actionable item that's actually going to be helpful to someone, physically helpful and mentally helpful for someone. And that's what really pisses me off, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It really pisses me off because at the end of the day, I deal with people who think that if I go on a GoFundMe account and I give someone $50, I've helped. Yeah, you helped, like that much maybe. But how about you create a space for folks who can actually have that everlasting help that continues on and on and on for many of people, many of families out there. So that's why I think that folks like you are so great. Going back to what you talked about earlier with the whole LinkedIn thing, I forgot all about that. I remember you were just on Instagram, and I had told you need to get on LinkedIn because it's so great. You can actually see kind of the background, the experiences of the people that you're connecting with and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that worked out for you and you were able to connect and network with more folks.
For sure.
Gaining the trust of the military community is really hard. And, the one thing that I think about gaining trust is every single Army base out there, and I'm sure it's the same for the Marines and the Navy, every single Army base has the used car lot just off of base, right? And they have your pay chart right there, so they know how much you make. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, don't get swindled by, someone. So gaining that trust from people is really difficult. So aside from showing up to events and, trying to clearly communicate your message on what you're doing, have you found any other ways to try to get through that barrier of trust that the military community tends to put up?
To be honest with you, I've been very surprised at
Mhm.
how many people have been willing to help me. I haven't run into too many, other than like in person people that are just like, I don't really think I need your help.
Right.
I've been very surprised, especially down here. We're at Fort Bragg. And so there's a very large, soft community down here. And
Mhm.
the amount of support that I've received specifically from that community, which was very intimidating to me, um, has blown my mind. Like
Mm.
they're helpers. They're just willing to help, and I think that um, from maybe other people's standpoint, I am passionate and I'm very open and honest, and I believe very much that everything my husband and I have been through has been to share with others, and so being open and honest about that has helped to build people's trust because you never expect bad things to help happen to you. But if you're willing to talk about it and you're willing to relate to people, just extending a hand and extending some compassion because a lot of people go through similar struggles, but they're not talked about. Like us, for example, we didn't talk to our friends about it at first because we thought we're the only idiots that are going through this right now. Like
Mm.
it's embarrassing. When I talk to my family about it, they'd be like, "I have no idea what you're dealing with. Just deal with it." Like a lot of people go through struggles, and if we're just willing to be open and honest about those struggles, if somebody has the courage to speak about them, you find that a lot of people relate to you and you can share that compassion and you can build trust that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it takes time, right? It's a slow crawl to gain that trust, especially within this community specifically. I've known folks who are not even tied to you're a military spouse, so you endured a lot, with your husband going on TDY, maybe deployments and things like that, like being gone from the house, having to move somewhere, strange land, strange people, right? So you understand a lot of that culture that comes with being in the military. So a lot of what you're talking about really comes through to me as being very authentic and like what you want to do and where you want to go. And that's what really struck me when I first started talking to you. But Michelle, overall, like running this podcast for over a year now, I can tell you it is, aside from work, family, and everything else going on externally, right? It's very difficult to do. Um, what do you think, aside from your past experience, what do you think keeps you going? Do you hit those mile markers where you sort of see someone that's a member of Veteran Help Point get help, and then that kind of motivates you to keep going, or what is it?
Um, Gosh, it's just like climbing a mountain and then descending. I have moments where I'm just like, okay, yes, we're on the right track, and then there's moments where I'm like, I need to quit. Like somebody else is doing something better than me. Like it's just so cyclical. But when I am talking to other people and hearing their stories and just to hear somebody say, wow, I wish this organization was around whenever I was going through my stuff
Yeah.
because this could be really useful. It just reminds me like, okay, there are people that find this useful. I'm not crazy. This is not a really dumb idea because I do have a lot of moments of self-doubt. Um, but when I find somebody that is supporting me and kind of reinforces that I'm not crazy, it helps keep me going because the first year of building a business is it's just tough. Like nonprofits, they have a very, very short lifespan and most don't make it past a year. So we're coming up here on a year and I have done so much more than I thought that I would do and so much less than I thought that I would do. My expectations have totally changed. They've done a 180 as far as what I wanted to accomplish. So it's been an interesting ride, but definitely seeing all the people and seeing the potential, and I keep seeing ways that I can expand this and utilize this and help a bigger population. I have so many plans many, many years from now because I need to get it together now. But yeah.
Yeah. So before I talk about what's over the horizon for you and Veteran Help Point, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but can you talk us through what exactly Veteran Help Point is going to look like, or what it looks like now as far as the website and how the military community could properly utilize Veteran Help Point to help them out?
Yeah, so our website is veteranhelppoint.com. And right now we're focusing on the southeastern region of the United States. So on the website, that's what's going to show up. I have been doing a lot behind the scenes. So my goal for November 5th, which is our next big event, is to have the Southeast region totally live and ready to roll for that event down here in North Carolina. But we are focusing on 10 categories of help. So the 10 categories are mental health, primary care, physical therapy, holistic therapy, financial aid and literacy, fitness, legal aid, benefits, housing, and job assistance. And those, again, are local resources to you. So we want to make sure that the resources that you're calling, you're more than just a number, and you're not just calling up a 1-800 number and like going to be asked, hey, how much do you want to donate
Right.
first before you can talk to a live person? Because I did call a large organization the other day and that's what they asked me. So I was furious about that. But anyway, we want to make sure that you're in touch with somebody in your own backyard that is going to understand you and, finish the job that you need started.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And that's where Michelle's idea comes in right there. Is you're not getting a 1-800 number. You're actually going to be dealing with local people that you can see face to face within your own region or within your own city even. And so, Michelle, how does Veteran Help Point plan to properly vet the quality of care provided by the folks that are going to be connected with you?
Great question. So right now I'm doing it all myself, and what I call it is lightly vetting. So I'm making sure that the organization, like I have my whole spreadsheet up here. So every organization that I have on there, you check out their website, you check out their standing in the community, you see what others' reviews have said about them. Next step is I want to reach out. I want to talk to each of these organizations to make sure they're doing what they say they're doing and making sure we kind of have the same mission as far as helping veterans and their families. What I have somebody that's helping me build my new website, and what we're going to be doing is you will be able to make an account on Veteran Help Point, and then if you've used that service, basically it'll be like an Angie's List for services. So you're going to be able to rate and review the services that you received, because personally, I mean, everybody, you can leave a negative review, you can leave a positive review, but whenever I'm looking for a new restaurant to eat at, I'm looking to see what their 5-star rating is from Yelp or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the reviews that are recent, because I want real people's experience, not just what they say on their website, or what food critics have said about them. I want to see what the community has said about them. And I think that public opinion in that way holds a lot of weight. And it kind of helps keep them accountable, right? So, if they'll be able to see any negative or positive reviews, so they can reinforce that as they see fit. But I think that is a really good way to help continuously vet these organizations that are going to be listed on the website.
Yeah, it sounds like you've come a long way, because I remember early on you were talking about this, and you definitely have connected with folks. And I can tell you that even for myself with my podcast, when I connected with Act Now Education and Jay Salters from Act Now Education, it was very weird, because I had not answered a lot of questions about my own podcast. I didn't know. I knew that I wanted to be here. I knew I wanted to be in this space, but I didn't know who specifically I wanted to serve. What did I want to serve? What did I want to do? So talking to the folks within our community really helped me out with helping out with my own podcast. And I can tell you this, from early on, from the day that I met you, the one thing that you have been awesome at, and you still are awesome at, are your social media posts, especially on Instagram. You are you are freaking great when it comes to the video camera, and you're creative as well. And I wish I had half of what you have when it comes to some of the posts that you do, Michelle, because I know it's all homegrown, right? It's all you. Like,
Yeah.
is there a team involved?
No, just me and maybe my lack of dignity and willing to put that on the internet. But
Have you always been kind of like that, where you're just willing to get on stage and start dancing?
yeah, I was actually thinking about a talent show that I was in with my friends in sixth grade, and we didn't plan any of it.
Yeah.
And it was I hope that there's not a recording of that. It was so cringy and horrible. Just yeah, yeah. You
So
just have fun.
So over the span of the last year, Michelle, do you want to give a shout out to anyone out there who's kind of helped you out, catapulted you along the way, really catapulted you as far as being like a game changer?
I mean, I do, whenever I'm on other podcasts, I do talk about you and how you started me on LinkedIn, because without you getting me on LinkedIn, I wouldn't have met these other people that, I mean, truly have changed my life. There's a group called Angels 14 on there that I don't know if you've seen them yet. If not, I'll definitely tag you.
No.
Um, um, it's not all veterans, it's veterans, military spouses, and people who support the military, but I have just never been so supported in my life. One lady, she took me on a 10-week mental fitness journey. Another veteran, he helped me with mindfulness and meditation. And I had a phone call with another guy who's wants to help me out with my website in another way. It's just been Angels 14 has been the most supportive group for leadership, for mental health, for everything. They've been amazing. And then, I met another good buddy of mine on LinkedIn. He was down here at Bragg, Steve Nisbet, and he has a company called Shields and Stripes, which is a really, really cool nonprofit too, that helps veterans and first responders. So yeah, they've been, I definitely have a good group of support in a way that I truly have never been supported in my life up until this point, and it is incredible. I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get past a lot of the negative stuff when it comes to building something like this. But then you think about the folks out there who are really supporting you and believe in you, and it makes it all worth the while. And thank you for acknowledging me. I didn't do anything, Michelle. You just came to me. We were talking. I just saw some things, and I can tell you that LinkedIn. If anyone out there listening is not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. And here's why. LinkedIn is the best way to see where someone has come from. You can see their entire line of experience. You can see their resume basically. And I guess it's the best way to vet someone and determine whether or not you should connect with them or whether it's the right connection that you have. And so that's why I've used LinkedIn quite a bit over the span of the last year or so to help me out with my podcast as well. And so, and Michelle, I know that you're a busy mama, so we won't keep you on here much longer. I can hear the little ones in the background getting rascal, and your husband's probably down there, doing his best. But long term wise, long term, where do you see Veteran Help Point going?
Okay. Well, a lot. I have a lot of different plans for this. I want to. I have a big heart for the blue collar workers that are putting in the work every day, and I want to be able to partner with corporations and organizations to get veterans placed in blue collar jobs in that way. I hear my baby out there. Sorry.
Sorry.
So that's one branch of it. Another is I want to expand my resource list. So I want to be able to say these resources are for veterans. I want to have resource for spouses, for children, and then I would like to duplicate this. And this is me like being very, very ambitious, but I'd also like to duplicate something like this for um, law enforcement, first responder resources, and then I would also like to do that for people who are incarcerated, for resources to getting them back into jobs, healthcare, things like that, because these are all very underserved populations.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I never even thought about the incarcerated before, and the first responders as well. How this could properly serve them as a great product to find the local resources, the local help. And you talked about blue collar. I was just recently talking to someone, a friend of mine who's a Marine, and he was telling me, he goes, "You always talk about blue collar stuff. You never talk about you always talk about white collar. You never talk about blue collar stuff." And like I do from time to time, I definitely respect like what mechanics and HVAC and plumbing and all that stuff. Actually was trying to connect with someone recently who does that, who basically helps out veterans who are seeking to get certified or get licensed in some of those blue collar areas. And so if I get connected with them, I'll definitely send them your way as well, because it's all about networking, right? And handing off those valuable contacts. Michelle, overall, the span of this podcast, we've talked all about Veteran Help Point. Is there anything that you'd like to mention here at the end of the podcast? Any pieces of advice for anyone out there listening that may help them, whether they're thinking about starting their own organization or maybe they're at a point in their lives where they're looking to get some help? Do you have any valuable advice that is at the top of your mind that you'd like to talk about?
I mean, if you're looking to start your own organization, you've got to network, because there's somebody out there that's already thought of your idea or that's doing something similar. So you need to learn from everybody, and everybody's a competition and nobody's a competition. It's really only you and everybody else you can learn from. So networking is very, very valuable. And something that I've recently started to kind of harp on with my social media and things like that is, if you want to really help somebody, if you want to really help the veteran community, or the active duty community, you've got to help yourself first. And a lot of us forget how to do that. So like the number one thing that you can do to help somebody else is to help yourself and get your mental health right. Because if you're not solid, if your foundation is shifty, nobody can lean on you for support. So you've really, really got to figure out how to get a good mental health routine, get good mental health hygiene, so you can truly walk the walk and talk the talk.
That is some great advice. Very, very great advice, Michelle. I couldn't have said it any better. Making sure that your own foundation and that your own house is, I guess, supported, squared away, great foundation, great base, because a lot of folks out there, sometimes we tend to focus on everyone else and not ourselves. And so that's great advice, Michelle. And for anyone out there who's interested in contacting you or connecting with you, what is the best platform, social media platforms, or what's the best email for them to contact you?
Instagram, Veteran Help Point, or my email at it's michelle@veteranhelppoint.com.
And I'll make sure I put all that down in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, scroll down to the bottom of the podcast episode itself, and you'll find all of Michelle's contact information, links to get to her Instagram and her LinkedIn as well. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can scroll to the bottom in the description, and it'll be the same thing down there as well. So Michelle, I just want to say thank you for giving me your time and being so flexible with the schedule. We both are working and doing this on the side because of our passion. And overall, I got to say that I'm very thankful to be connected with folks like you. And speaking of which, like, we're all in competition, but we're not in competition at the same time. I'm wearing Ryan's Vet with a Mic podcast. Give him a shout out.
Right on.
He's part of the coalition, right? So with that being said, help each other out and support each other. But Michelle, thank you for giving us your time on the Morning Formation today. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you're going to be over the horizon in the next few months to a year or so.
Yeah, it was great being on here. Thank you.
All right, Michelle, we'll let you get back to your mom duties. And I know that your toddler is out there pounding down the door, waiting for you to get out there and and tend to them. So thank you so much. And for everyone else out there listening to the Morning Formation, I want to thank you for your time today. Please connect with Michelle. When you get a chance, add her to your social media platforms. And as always, I want you to stay tuned, stay focused, and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out. You've been listening to the Morning Formation Podcast. I hope you found today's materials helpful and of value to your current situation. You can connect with me on Instagram at _morning_formation_podcast, or you can connect with me via email at theformationpodcaster@gmail.com. Also, I would like to thank my partners at Act Now Education for their support. Authenticity, community, and trusted is what you can expect from all members of the Act Now Education team. You can link up with them today and learn about some new, free educational resources on their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or at their website, actnoweducation.com. Whether today's show took you back to a nostalgic time or helped you think about tomorrow, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again. Stay safe and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out.